started a text message group with like 25 guys that are just straight up hammers. They're a part of the 13 team, and some were not a part of the 13 team. Just people that we trusted. And we sought out 2.5 years ago, what they wanted, what they used, what the baits were, and it was just a cool thing. And what you also find out is these guys never sleep either. So like they're on the water 24/7, 365. And it was definitely time for a refresh. It's been 5 years.
I've boat flipped a lot of fish on these rods.
So light in your hand, it's actually kind of impressive that they can do that with a rod that's 7.3 or 7.6.
You got to have all of us out here testing, and that's the cool part about the team. You got Zaldane, he's throwing giant glide baits, swim baits, so you can lean on some of these guys to help you with the actions that you're looking for. So pretty cool working with all the guys, the brand, and seeing the pride they take in doing something right. And I'm all about doing it right, man. If it's worth getting up and doing every morning, it's damn worth doing it right, I can tell you that.
Is there something that made you think like this is a company I want to give some effort towards building that relationship with? Because like, everyone's got options. You can go anywhere if you really wanted to, but like, why this brand? Why this company? Why these people?
So in my profession, there's a couple things you don't skimp on. You don't skip on line, you don't skip on reels, and you don't skip on rods. You just can't afford to. The number one thing that made me really want to work with this company was how receptive they were. I spent hours on the phone with Ricky, hours on the phone with Ben, tons of time on the phone with Matt. A lot of times, most of these companies' first thing is the bottom line. But these guys, their first thing they want to do is fish, like all of them. So they want to have the best product from the beginning. So that's what I feel like keeps them driven, is because they have that background. It's not just about trying to rush something to market and make as much money as they can. They really want the best product.
It's hours and hours and hours.
Deep into that world. Yeah. Like Ricky knows.
Just like how it was.
Just like how it was. And then use all those.
Bass fishing's got this aura about it. You know, there's like these little groups of hardcore tournament guys. There's the swim bait crowd, the flat-billed hats, the big long socks with shorts. You know, there's all these little groups, these little cliques within the whole bass fishing aura. I could hold my hand up in a couple of those groups. I'm a swim bait guy, I'm a hardcore tournament guy. It's more about like having the passion to just convince a bass into biting a fake fish. That's something we all have in common, you know, regardless of what group you're holding your hand in.
That's awesome.
That was sick. Yeah, it was your question. That was awesome, dude. 30-pound braided line. I just put a little fluorocarbon leader on it and threw that same 6-inch swim bait through this grass here, and it frickin' smoked it. That was awesome. You know, as a rod designer, you know, you would think he, you know, spends all his time sitting at a computer, but that dude would much rather be out on the water looking at his graph, staring at his graph, making casts, and getting like real-time info on the rod because he's actually applying it. And I feel like, and what I've seen in the past, working with companies in the past, very few of them actually apply it out in the field, you know, where I make my living. So when you work with a guy like Ricky T, it's like, okay, he gets it. He absolutely gets it. I remember when I first got on with 13 Fishing, Ricky handed me this Muse line. I'm like, okay, cool, blacked out, murdered out rod, looks sick. And when I went to the swim bait rod, of course, I always gravitate towards the bigger, heavier swim bait rods, being from Northern California, Clear Lake, Delta. You feel like you could crack on a 9-10 pounder with a, you know, 6-7 inch swim bait, and it doesn't feel like it's gonna buckle. It feels like you're gonna pull that fish into the boat.
Like these guys that are out there on the Elite Series Tour and the MLF Tour, that is life for them. And if you're gonna build product that they care to put on their boat and fish, you better try to live it alongside them. It's a big deal. And I just feel like the industry and that as a whole is just taking everything for granted, like it's so easy. We just develop this and develop that, put it at ICAST, tell everybody about it, launch it. It sells and we go on to the next thing. And that's just not the case for us.
This is the one he's talking about.
They're not on bed here. Right in this area. I don't know why.
It was really eye-opening to me how much it changes. Just like add an extra guy to the rod. Everything that you do changes the rods like exponentially, like more than you would ever even imagine. My favorite is the 7.6 medium heavy. 100%, that's my favorite. It's unbelievably light for the length. Whenever you get a rod that's over 7'3", it's very, very difficult to make that rod feel like it floats in your hand. It's very light on the tip. I like the 7.6 medium heavy. That's the one I'm actually throwing a frog on right now. That's when I do a lot of flipping with fluorocarbon and stuff like that. Like, that is my favorite rod in the entire lineup.
Specifically for a lot of the Southeastern style techniques, or like the heavies and the medium heavies, we started like 2.5 years ago, and I'll talk specifics about like the 3 rods, like True Grit, Tropic Thunder, and Hurt Locker.
Disarmed. 873. You're a wild man.
It was super cool because we got to work with guys like Jesse Mizell and Garrett Rockamora, who are stud Florida fishermen. Headstrong, they will make sure that they put their head down all day to get 6 bites, and when they show up to the scales at a local tournament, they're gonna take your money. Like straight up, they're gonna take your money.
Lately, it's been pretty crazy fishing with the boys. You know, just dropping 40 bags and whatnot, but... Oh my God. So when we set out to make the perfect speedworm rod, we needed length, a good amount of backbone, tip, a little bit longer handle because we're making a long cast, a good amount of tip in it, but shuts off pretty fast. And when you feel one bite it way out there, you gotta freaking crack them. And the 7.6 comes in when you're winching these fish through lily pads or through grass. You gotta just have a longer rod to do that down here. We kind of went through a couple different trial and errors with this rod and pretty much got it down to a T. I mean, 17, 20-pound line, long cast, 4/0 hook. It's been perfect.
The most attractive to me was the mindset of Ben, Matt, Ricky, talking to Jim. These guys wanted to go to the next level. And I like that. It's like, hey, I'm gonna jump on a ship that wants to go somewhere. They don't want to sit idle. To me, I like that kind of ambition.
You know, and just grass, salad, you know, the ring.
I'm just kidding.
You gotta drink it fast so they don't
I think we got people's attention, and now we're gonna run out front.